Are you moving to the Hampton Roads area? Are you specifically thinking about moving to Suffolk, Virginia? In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of living in Suffolk, and we're going to start right now. Suffolk, Virginia is located in Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads is made up of 7 cities, Suffolk being one of them. You also have Chesapeake, Norfolk, and if I zoom in, Portsmouth. And then of course we have Virginia Beach over here. And this makes up the south side of Hampton Roads. Now, the rest of Hampton Roads is just north, and we have Newport News, Hampton, and then up here we have Yorktown area. To get to the north side, you're traveling through tunnels, and the tunnel that goes through Suffolk right here is one of the best tunnels, I think, for traffic. So if you are ever going to be driving up north at all and you live in Suffolk, this is a pretty good tunnel. The tunnel over here through Norfolk, not so much. Suffolk, Virginia was founded in 1742, and the population currently is just under 100,000. Suffolk is also a major transportation hub for several large companies like Lockheed Martin, Lipton Tea, and Planters Peanuts. With the population under 1,000, Suffolk seems like a small city, but it's really not if you're looking at the land mass. In fact, it's the largest city in the state of Virginia if you're just looking at the land mass. Suffolk goes all the way up here, and it kind of cuts off somewhere right around here. This is where Portsmouth starts. And then it goes right into western branch of Chesapeake. So Suffolk kind of comes around like that. Let me see if I can actually get a line for Suffolk drawn here to show you better. Okay, there we go. So I was pretty close where I was. Anyway, Suffolk cuts down here, and you can see it goes out into the swamp areas. It goes out into the farmlands. It goes deep. So if you're driving from one side of Suffolk to the other, like from here to here, you know, that might be an hour and 15-minute drive, just to put it in perspective. There are several great things about living in Suffolk, but the first thing I want to point out is affordability, specifically around the housing prices. Depending on when you're watching this video, all these numbers are obviously going to change, and if you want updated numbers, just reach out to me. My information is in the description. But I want to show you real quick just to compare Suffolk to some of the surrounding cities so you can see the affordability. And it's not the cheapest city to live in, but it's definitely not the most expensive. So $430,500 is the median sales price in Suffolk. Now, if we go and check out Virginia Beach, let's see what that looks like. So Virginia Beach is almost $40,000 higher for a same house, but in Virginia Beach, it's going to cost more. Another very popular city to consider is Chesapeake, $473,000. So again, much more affordable to live in Suffolk, Virginia. If you want to consider living in Norfolk, it's actually even cheaper. $315,000 is their median sales price. Then we have Portsmouth, $274,000. That's the most affordable city pricing wise for houses that you'll find in Hampton Roads, or at least the south side of Hampton Roads. According to bestplaces.net, the cost of living in Virginia Beach is 0.2% lower than the national average, but it's 4.2% lower than the average in Virginia. Another thing you might like about living in Suffolk, Virginia is it has that country charm, like that rural area with some suburban areas too. It kind of has that small town charm, but not too far from everything. Being such a large city for landmass, you can obviously get some homes with big yards in Suffolk, Virginia. Or if you're looking for some land, like maybe you want to have enough land to go hunting on or something like that, you could find that in Suffolk, Virginia. It's not the only place you'll find it, but one of the more affordable places. With all this land that Suffolk has to offer, there is a lot of outdoor activities as well. If you like wildlife refuges or bird watching, you'll find that in Suffolk. And we have the Great Dismal Swamp area, which covers a lot of Suffolk. And there's just a lot of wildlife out there and walking trails you can check out. The last pro that I want to talk about before we get into some of the cons is waterfront property. The average elevation in the city of Suffolk is 39 feet. So much higher than its surrounding cities, like over in Norfolk, I believe it's 7 feet, and it's like 10 feet in Virginia Beach. In Suffolk, we have a higher elevation, which means waterfront living is more affordable because you don't have to pay for the expensive flood insurance in most cases. If I could buy any house in the entire city, even if it's not on the market, there is one house that comes to mind, which, don't get me wrong, there's probably a family that lives in this house and I would not kick them out on the streets. This house is located in Harborview, specifically the riverfront part of Harborview, and this is just such a cool community. It has a little park right here that's really nice, and it goes out into the water. Now, everybody that lives on this street here, specifically on the water, for the most part, will have a pier with a boat lift. But the house that I specifically would love to purchase is this one right here. This house has 11,200 square feet. Look at that curb appeal. It has 6 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and it has a 4-car garage. I don't know if you can see the other two. Let me get over here. There you go. You can see the other 2 cars right here. I love the curb appeal. I love the vibe I get from this house. Also, it's a perfect size for Elijah and I. What do you think, buddy? Would you live there with me? If you are interested more in learning about North Suffolk, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because I'm going to be making a video real soon covering the north part of Suffolk, specifically Harborview and the riverfront. Now let's talk about the cons, because Suffolk is not all rainbows and sunshine. There are some things to know if you're thinking about moving there. For example, there's no nightlife. There's nothing to do. I mentioned earlier there's more to do on the north side. Go hang out with your friends at B-dubs or something. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to do. There's no nightlife. There's no city life. Suffolk is really lacking in that area. So there's not a lot of great shopping and restaurants in Suffolk. There are a few. Again, make sure to subscribe to this channel because I will be covering more of that. But most of our restaurants, or the restaurants we're known for, are going to be found in Virginia Beach or in Norfolk. Another con could be commute times. Depending on where you work, you may not want to live in Suffolk. If you work on the north end of Hampton Roads, if you work in, let's say, Newport News, maybe at Fort Eustis or Langley, you probably want to live somewhere on the north end or the north side of Hampton Roads if you work on that side, just to avoid having to go back and forth through the tunnel. Even though the Monitor Merrimack tunnel isn't so bad going through Suffolk with traffic, usually it still costs money. Every time you go through these tunnels, there's a toll. Just need to make sure you budget for that when you're moving to this area. If you are stationed or working somewhere over in Norfolk or Virginia Beach, just check your route. And if you have to go through that Midtown tunnel, then there's going to be a toll and possible traffic. Even just to commute to the beach is going to be a solid 45-minute drive. Another thing I should mention is healthcare. Depending on where you live in Suffolk, you may not even have a hospital nearby. If that matters to you, you want to be diligent about where you move to in Suffolk. Again, I would point you to that north part of Suffolk because it's more developed. The last thing I'm going to mention, and I don't know if this is a pro or a con, it depends on where you're moving from, the weather. It does get hot here. We are technically in the south. There is going to be 1 month out of the year where it's going to be over 90 degrees, possibly pushing up towards the low 100s. But for the most part, it's not too hot. And May, September, and October are probably the best months of the year, where it stays between 70 up to like 85. Very comfortable. We also don't get much snow here. It does usually snow once or twice every season, but it doesn't stick too much. And if it does, it's not much more than a few inches. Back in 2014 and 2015, I recall we did have maybe 6 to 8 inches of snow, but that was rare. So if you don't like that type of weather, that's a pro, but it's a con if you have kids and you want to go sledding. Not only because we don't have snow, we also don't have hills. If you look at the terrain here, it's flat. This is the whole Hampton Roads area is flat. The only hill we have is at Mount Trashmore, which is a park that was built on a landfill, just like it sounds. Other than that, if you want hills, if you want that type of scenery, then you're going to want to go out to the Shenandoah State Park or up north somewhere. If you are moving to the area, or you're just contemplating whether or not you should move to Suffolk versus another area, feel free to reach out to me direct. My information is on the screen and in the description. And also, if you like my puppy and you want to see him in more videos, Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel.